Good afternoon. Good afternoon if you are on the West Coast, but good evening if you're in my time zone. Welcome to Sunday night here. Getting ready for the Artist Back Alley Raid Train. As I will be doing some photography this evening. Be doing some editing of some cemetery photography, some black and white film that I shot on Halloween because... duh. Because absolute duh. Why wouldn't I? But this isn't my usual New England cemetery. No, this is right in New York that I'll be editing. This comes from the old burial yard in the First Presbyterian Church Cemetery in Southold, New York, which had a Puritan settlement. This burial yard was established in 1640. Who knew? Who knew? I certainly wasn't taught. I live and grown up in New York State. No one ever told me. No one ever taught us that we had a Puritan settlement. Plymouth gets all the love, but not New York apparently. So, good evening. And welcome to the pre-train party, I should say. I am Eroivus, but I am known professionally as Brian J. French. I'm a professional photographer. And if you're curious about the photography that I do, be sure you can type in !art, and I hope this will work. There we are. Yes. Excellent. That takes you to my card page, which is a link aggregate. It shows you all the different ways you can get a hold of me and my art. So that's it. If you click that link, it takes you to this, and you see website, Twitch, Instagram, Vero, Patreon, Picarto, Redbubble, donations if you want to throw money at me. It's all right there for you. Click one and away you go. Just push a button and zing, you're off. Good evening, Winged. Hydrate, yes. I see you are of the Live Death school of greeting. Hopefully you're having a pleasant Sunday evening. So in about 20 minutes from now, we will have the Artist Back Alley Raid Train coming on in. There'll be big loud noises. It'll play a Sonic the Hedgehog sound effect as they come in about 20 minutes. And the art Amtrak will come on over to my little corner of Twitch. So, looking forward to that. All right. So let's get a little started here. Let's get a little started on some editing, some editing stuff. While we are here, I'm still finishing up setting up the film for this. I actually developed off stream. I developed this week because I was in the middle of the week and I wasn't streaming, and so yes, you guys had. Unfortunately, there was a constant agitation that you guys didn't get to see. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but the film was developed. That's where's my fourth sleeve? Oh, I know where it is. It's still in the scanner. Because I only just scanned this last night. I developed it on a Wednesday. It spent a couple of days drying, and now it's still in the scanner, and I need to get my film gloves so that I can properly remove it. Ah, there they are. Great weekend in Amherst with some good friends is a good way to end the weekend. Well, I'm very, very glad. That would explain why you weren't at game night on Friday. But that's all right. We had a blast on board game night. That stream is now up on YouTube. If you are curious about the games that we played, any chance that you get to spend some time in Massachusetts is always a good time. But you know, you live there now. So I'm mildly envious. Just putting the film back in the sleeve here. And I should actually, while I have this out in front of me, label the sleeve so that when I put it in my film binder, I know where the hell I took these images. But yes, I was visiting some friends Halloween weekend on Long Island. And as is typically my custom, I take a look at the area to see if there's any cool cemeteries nearby. Because if there's one truism about the northeastern part of the country, especially the East Coast, you're gonna find a lot of old death. And you know, New England's got a lot of it, but New York definitely has some really old stuff as well, as is the case here. Again, I didn't know until a few days before I went down to Long Island that we had a Puritan settlement in the state, and there's a cemetery from 1640. So, yeah, actually, before I start editing, let me just go through some of the other. So this cemetery it's located in the First Presbyterian Church in Southold, New York. It's on the northern fork of the tip of Long Island. And I'll show you one. You know, this one was from 1690. And which one are you? 1684. And it was actually a bright sunny day, and in the mid-60s in that part of Long Island on Halloween did not feel very, very autumn-like. Did not feel very seasonally appropriate. but I had the right type of film, and the developing came out good. So, but yes, so the type of film, that I used is it's called medium format film, which looks like this. It's a larger negative. It's a larger negative than 35 millimeter. Let me do a little comparison here. So this is what 35 millimeter looks like. Most of you are probably familiar with what 35 millimeter looks like. And then we got our medium format. Oh, good. Good. The bot's working this time. It was failing me miserably on Friday. Probably because I hadn't used Streamlabs in forever, and it was probably mad at me that I had jump ship to OBS. But yes, good evening, welcome on in. We will get the bulk of the Artist Back Alley raid train coming on in about 15 minutes or so. So, while we're waiting. While we're waiting, undo duplicate layer is what I want. We're gonna convert this. That's 1,000% better. Black and white images are far, far easier to edit than color ones, but a black and white negative has something that a color image does not, and that's dust and scratches on the negative. So we'll get to those. And usually the quick way to get them out is to use our glorious, glorious friend clone tool. Ooh, no. Burn tool. Oh, that's right. Try to tamp down some of this harsh sunlight. Not too much, though. You want some in there. I want to bring out more of the headstone. So you don't want to go too crazy. when you're working with a black and white image, you don't want to lose everything. You want to keep a nice balance of shadows and highlights. They're your good friends. Although I think we're getting a little too much. Oh, that's why. My exposure's at 100%. There we go. That's better. Can lighten things up a little. Whoops. And we can use the dodge and burn to even add further texture to where the light is striking in areas of the image. I want to bring this more to the edge. Yes, if you are joining me this evening, being part of the Artist Back Alley raid train, the raid train will get here in about 7-8 minutes. So when that happens, there'll be a bit of a loud noise as an alert will fire off when the train does get here. So just to give you a little heads up. And of course, you can also have fun with gradients as well. Which really brings that headstone right into the foreground. I actually really like that. Thank you, Buck, for the reminder. Nice. Yeah, it's really nice. Let's see if... Yeah, we can even pump up the contrast even more. But I think that's pretty well said and done. Okay. No, we'll do that. Definitely won't be doing that. That one is going to get work done. That one is definitely going to get work done. That'll be next. That will be next, I think. This one cracked me up, and I'm like, I have to. I have to. Oh, I even caught a fly on that. Ha! Yeah, that'll be the next one. Yep. Oh, hi, Tiny Dragon. Long time no see. And I see you've brought almost 24 of your closest friends. Good evening, everyone. Welcome on into my corner of Twitch. Welcome, ABA. Welcome on into my corner of the internet. Thank you for the follow. Productive Dragon, hello. Thank you for the resub, Icarus. And thank you for the resub, Tiny Dragon on Fire. Thank you, thank you. All right. Oh! Tiny Dragon on Fire with the gift sub to Creative Jenny. Thank you so much, my dear friend. Mwah. Creative Jenny, enjoy your emotes commissioned by fellow artists Tiny Dragon on Fire, Lena the Oddity, and Glitching Icarus. And we have an hype train incoming. Oh, goody! Ha! Oh, absolutely wonderful. Thank you for the biddies, Daisy. And the follow as well. Oh, welcome, welcome on in, everyone. How was the rest of your stream, Tiny Dragon? You made some good made some good zines. Feel free to drop them in the chat, and any of you other artists out there, feel free to share what you've been up to in the chat, provided they are safe for work, because this is Twitch. We frown on nudity on Twitch. Oh, Hype Train. Beautiful, beautiful. So we go from one spooky to another. Let me introduce myself. I am E. Royvis, but I am known professionally as Brian J. French, and oh my god, the bits! The love. Thank you for the additional biddies, Daisy and Jenny. I'm a professional photographer. I work in digital and film. And I do a whole range of photography stuff. I'll just give you the quick little tour. So if you want to see where I am on the internet as far as art goes, all you have to do is type in !art. It pops up the link to my card page, which is my link aggregate. There you can go to my website, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, all that fun stuff. Thank you for the host, ABA. Picardo is another streaming platform that I go to when I'm streaming not safe for work art, because I do a lot of not safe for work art. A lot of my work contains nudity, and since I can't share it on Twitch, if you want to see when I edit those, join Picardo and follow me there. I stream there. I try to stream there once or twice a month. And as for my safe for work stuff, I'll show you my Instagram a bit. Let's make that a little bigger for you. So we've got some recent stuff. Some recent shoots. Some death. Some cute adorableness. Cosplay, body photography, it's all there. Just a little bit of what I do. This one I did on a previous ABA raid train, in one of my Pieces of series. So, but yeah, I do the photography stuff. And today I am working on images that I shot on film just this past Halloween, just a week ago. I was in Long Island visiting some friends, and as I typically do, I see if there's any old death for me to check out. And on Halloween, my spouse and I drove to the North Fork of Long Island, New York, to the old burial yard in a place called Southold, New York, which had a Puritan settlement in 1640 that I never learned about in school. As far as I was aware, all the Puritans basically landed in Plymouth and nowhere else. But we had a Puritan settlement, and this cemetery dates back to 1640. So I checked it out, and tonight you're going to be seeing some of the shots that came from that. So I shot these on black and white medium format film, which, if you don't know what it looks like this. The negatives are much larger than a 35 millimeter. I'll just give you the side-by-side comparison here. So that's 35 millimeter. That's probably what you're used to seeing. And then we put it next to that. So I developed this roll of film just this past Wednesday. So alas, there was no stream, no constant agitation for you to see. They spent the last 2 days drying. I scanned them. Thank you guys so much for the hype train. Thank you guys so much for the love. Choo-choo indeed. So, if you've ever been in an old cemetery in New England, you find a lot of funerary art and a lot of weird funerary art. It's... They got pretty creative in the late 17th century and into the 18th century. And this is one of them. So we're going to start with this. Hopefully you are all having a wonderful, wonderful weekend. With some great fun, great art. Like, these are supposed to be wings coming out of what is supposed to be a face or a badly drawn skull or something like that. But when I first saw this, I'm like, those aren't wings. This skull has a bouffant. This head has a bouffant. That's it. Anime pigtails. This one will be pretty easy to edit, I think. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time I've seen, you know, weird and bizarre ornamentation on a Puritan grave. I mean, there was one from when I took a trip to New Hampshire a year ago that, again, it was a skull with wings, but because of how they were carved, it looked like legs, so I called it Spider's Skull. Thank you guys for being here this evening. I always enjoy having the pleasure of your company. Nah, I think that's too much. I think we're going way too dark. Curves adjustment will probably be a little easier. Yeah. So there we are. That's a pretty easy one. The one I was working on just before you guys came over to my little area of Twitch was this one. This is a headstone from... Yep! I had that right in my head too, Tiny Dragon. This is a headstone from 1684. Bethia, the wife of Thomas Gilbert, aged 22 years, deceased May 11th, 1684. Most precious in God's sight, the Lord doth have esteem of ours that die in Christ, whatever men do deem. Although, because I'm silly, when I first saw this, I'm like, Bethia, ye wife of Thomas Gilbert, aged 22 years, deceased May 11th, 1684, most precious in God's in God's fight, the Lord doth the them of overs, and yeah, because I'm a Philistine like that. So yes, this is from 1684, and this again, all these images are from the same cemetery, the old burial yard in Southold, New York, on the North Fork of Long Island. So we did that one. I think I'll come back to that one. What's one I really wanted to work on? A lot of the headstones there are made out of sandstone, which do not hold up as well as slate. And I'm going to give you a perfect example of that. Bingo. I sound like Daffy Duck, printmaker. Andy B, good evening to you as well. Yeah, that's during the colonization. Yeah, where I live in the United States, I live in New York, and the East Coast, especially the Northeast, is chock full of historical cemeteries from the mid 1600s. So a lot of early colonial cemeteries, Puritan cemeteries, and they're so fascinating to look at. I wish there were more cool cemeteries to explore in California. I'm sure there are. They won't probably be as old as some of the ones we get here. For obviously that very reason. And crazy attempts at towns and cults. Yeah, as I was saying earlier, Sprites and Dice, I had no idea that New York State had a Puritan settlement. Like, that was never taught. And, you know, I'm born and raised and grown up in New York. The only Puritan settlement we ever hear about is Plymouth. To be fair, I'm very near next to Griffith Observatory in the Hollywood. Okay. Yeah, that'll do it. And just that whole history of Eastern Long Island is quite interesting because when the Dutch tried to claim the entire rest of the island for themselves, that settlement basically told them to fuck off. So for a while, Eastern Long Island was part of the English settlement around New Haven, Connecticut. So there was some interesting history there. So a lot of New England cemeteries, particularly coastal New England, they had a lot of slate. And since slate was in common abundance there, a lot of these early headstones have used slate headstones, which, despite them being very brittle and you have to work with them, you have to do very delicate work. They hold up very well. 300, 400 years of weathering. Then we get to this cemetery in Long Island where you have a lot of sandstone. The advantages to sandstone is that it was much cheaper to work. It was a cheaper material, much more common, easier to work with. Was not prone, was not so fragile and delicate the way slate is. But with sandstone, because it's a sedimentary rock, it's much more prone to weathering and fading. Sprites and Dice. New York is very much like, oh yes, you have a great city, New York City. Have you heard of it? It's great. We have the Statue of Liberty. What's this about failed settlements and over-industrialization in the north? No idea what you're talking about. Oh, hey, have you heard about New York City? There's two small towns in the towns of Hotesville and Patchogue. They're small and the headstones look really weathered. And they're probably very old. Now you can see that there's so where I was staying, Jenny, I was staying in Westbury, New York, Halloween weekend, and to get from there to this cemetery in Southold, it's about an hour and 20 out to the North Fork. And you can see that this church tried very hard to keep the stones intact. You can see that the glue and the caulk, but nature does eventually reclaim everything. So there's another old one that was near where we were that I didn't get a chance to go to in Northport, called the old. Ah, there's Spider's Skull right in the lower right. There you are. That was from a Pine Grove Cemetery in Hampton, New Hampshire. Slowly, surely, inevitably, late nature is a slow. Bravo for the Darkest Dungeon reference. Excellent, my friend. Alright, let's continue on and have some fun with gradients. And we'll make that image look a little more focus right in. The use of gradients can make for excellent framing, whether you're doing photography work or even digital illustrations, things like that. Great mood setters. And the last step we need to do... Yep, there you are. Dust and scratches. So what happens after... If you've ever seen me develop film on stream, and you know if you had, because you heard me yell constant agitation a bunch. So what I do is, before I cut and sleeve the negative, I hang this to dry. And then once it dries, I cut them into fours, and then I have a flatbed scanner in which I put my film strips, scan them at 2400 DPI, and that gets them into a raw setting to start working with them in Photoshop. But with black and white negatives, despite your best efforts, you will always wind up bringing along some dust and scratches, even though I use film gloves all the time when I'm handling them. I have compressed air that I clear the scanner glass with. You're always going to wind up with dust and scratches. It's inevitable. The development is one of the best. Oh, it's... Every time I develop a roll of film, it's like Christmas at the end. Because it's like, even though I've scanned and I've developed hundreds of rolls of film, I still get that, like, childlike anticipation when I'm opening the developing tank. It's like opening a Christmas gift, and it's like, what do we have? And also, hoping that I didn't just ruin an entire roll of film. So there we are. There's that one. All right. What's another one? What's another one I want to work on tonight? This one is just interesting. This one is... I'm pretty sure someone swiped the inscription. Because the rest of the stone is intact. That's the second time, that's the second headstone I have personally seen that I can at least recall, where the outer part of the stone is intact, but someone's made off with the actual inscription. At least I assume somebody just delicately took it out. Like maybe a family member or something like that. That is very unusual, Icarus. Yes. So when you're working completely with black and white, you're working with just with the absence of color guiding your choices as you create and as you work on your art. With a black and white film, black and white image, contrast and value are your friends here. You don't want to go, you don't want to lose your tonal range. Contrast is your best friend. It's your good friend. This is also this inscription or this funerary art on the top of the headstone. I have not seen this variation of you know head and wings. I can't recall it in any other cemetery I visited. This is so far this is unique to. Well, I can't really say unique yet, but it's the first time I've seen it. I'm sure this pops up in plenty of other places. For the sparse life that Puritans Puritans led, it's very interesting to see them. It was kind of like feels almost like death was the only time. Thank you for the subscription, Coldham. Thank you so much. Enjoy your emotes. And my gratitude. Thank you so, so much. "27 subs away until the next emote slot gets unlocked." And do I have any dust? Well, before I do dust and scratches, let's do a little dodge here. Let's bring out some of that shadow detail so that I don't just have a black blob just like right right behind the headstone there. And you have to make those noises when you're working on art, otherwise, it doesn't work. It's the first rule. Excellent. Save that. Hopefully you're all having a wonderful weekend filled with awesome art. I've been bouncing in and out, popping in when I can. You've done some great stuff. All right, next one. And then sometimes you find in these cemeteries just something that looks like this. Nothing special, no ornamentation at all, just an initials and a year. Like, my favorite ones, my favorite headstones, are the ones where, you know, there's a stone and there's no name, or it's been damaged and you can't see the information. Because then my brain starts wondering, well, what kind of life did they have? And why, you know, especially if it's a stone that just has like a number on it, no name. Well, it's like, why is that? Why did somebody feel the need to bury you without the decency of a name or any other, you know, anything, any mark to leave behind? My brain starts to get thinking about kind of people they might have been. But yes, if you have any questions about photography or what I do, just let me know in the chat. What was I doing? Oh yes, now I know what I was doing. Contrast. Ooh. Yeah, not too much. That was a very bright sun in that image. Definitely think we're going to be doing a bit of dodging and burning. Darken it up a bit, especially our background. Oh, something I don't get to show people very often. So what kind of camera shoots this larger size film? Well, I'll show you. I will show you Big Chongus here. This is what shoots that type of film. This is a medium format camera. So, this thing is a freaking beast. 5.25 pounds hanging off of my neck. And, Pentax camera. Yeah. And that's what the back looks like. It's a 45 to 85 millimeter lens. but it takes some awesome, awesome stuff. And the film... There we go. I hit the button to... It muted me. So the film, what it looks like when it's not in cut and sleeved format, comes in a box like this. Comes in a box like this. And that is my brand of choice, Ilford Film. And it just comes in a single container, foil wrapped. Unwrap it, load it in the back of that camera, and away I go. 16 shots. Those film cameras are no longer made. And yeah, and 35mm film cameras, at least SLRs, are no longer made because everyone's gone digital. So now that I can only find them on the used market. No, actually like that as it was. They do make digital versions of that big giant camera that I just showed you. I ain't getting one of those anytime soon. Not unless if any of you lovely, lovely people out there can suddenly drop $5,000 into my PayPal. I have no shame. All right. Next. Will be so we started with the one headstone that looked like, you know, a freaking bouffant out of that head. This, I looked at it and actually said, "Aw, it's so cute. It's so cute." I mean, you never know. I can send you 500 grand candy bars. Will that help? Oh, that'll be excellent, Tiny Dragon. I can just go down to B&H in the city and be like, "Here, I've got the, I can pay you in candy." I'm gonna have to go to Betty Bites. Thanks to the show on the cam and kit, and these photos are amazing. Happy raid train. Thank you so much, Andy B. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a wonderful sleep, and I will see you again later. Right, Tiny Dragon? It's so cute! Got 25 minutes to go. I just want to very quickly check the schedule to see who I am raiding next. I think it's Jay Renzella. I just want to be sure that I've got that right. Yes, it is. Jay Renzella, and then Scrub Fiend, and then Leaf Bear to close out the weekend. Solid lineup. Oh, weekend's been solid. Some of these will be going up on my Redbubble as greeting cards and prints, because a certain glitching Icarus likes to collect them. This is called pandering. I have no problem with you doing that at all, Icarus. There are worse things you could hoard. Happy you will have some skulls. Merry Christmas. Remember thou art mortal. I mean, absolutely, Tiny Dragon. The Puritans were very, very big on Memento Mori. Very big. Oh, wrong layer. Why did I did a gradient? Why did you get lighter? Wrong layer. But yeah, there's a reason I eventually get barred from making the family. Merry Christmas, remember you're mortal. Like, let me see if I can. I'll pull this up here. See if I can find it. If I even posted it on my Insta. I don't think I did. Or if I did, it was a while ago. Yeah, it was a while ago. But, like, this one. Like, this one was in a cemetery in Billerica, Massachusetts. And it even says Memento Mori right on the damn headstone. And then, of course, you know, I don't know what. Maybe Andrew Lloyd Webber existed in a past life, because that looks very, very much like the Phantom. So it's That's why I called it the Phantom of the Afterlife. But I have made some salmon and veggies, and I've returned victorious. Yum, Scrub Fiend. Part of the reason why I had to miss like 4 hours of the raid train today was because a friend of mine was doing Friendsgiving. First time in a couple years. So I now have been the recipient of one Thanksgiving feast. So I stuffed myself on turkey and trimmings today. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. I mean, really. Like, I have a November birthday. Once every 7 years, my birthday falls in the same week as Thanksgiving. And when that happens, it's just a freaking feast. I also just take the entire week off of work. Like, screw it. Like, my birthday will never fall on Thanksgiving, but every 7 years, it falls in the same week. It does not happen this year. The next time that happens is in 2023. Happy Arbor Day, the trees will thrive on your corpse. That almost sounds lyrical, Tiny Dragon. Get rid of some of the dust and scratches because that's what we do. And I say this every single time I edit black and white film on stream, but doing this dust and scratches cleanup in Photoshop is so much easier than doing it on a physical print, because if I made this as a print in the darkroom, what I'd have to do after the print comes out and the print dries, I then have to take very thin, very tiny paintbrushes and use India ink to try to dilute it to whatever level of gray that I need to dilute it, and just start stippling. Just start stippling the print as delicate as I can to try to get rid of dust and scratch. And oh my god. This is much easier. It's like, and when I took drawing in college, that was the assignment I absolutely hated the most. I hated stipple. I know some illustrators out there, you love to stipple, and I'm just like, no. Nope. I don't have the patience for that. I love taking out my rage by stippling with pastels. Okay. I mean, I kind of did that for my stippling assignments with the, just pretending that the drawing I was wearing was the professor. And again, some of you like stippling. I don't. This is why I'm a photographer, not an illustrator. To each their own. One last wee bit of commerce for you. So in addition to my Redbubble store, I do have a Patreon. And if you sign up for my Patreon, you subscribe at $5 a month or higher, I will mail you a physical print every 2 months. Which means I got to start thinking about what December's print is gonna be. $5 $5 a month on my Patreon gets you a 4x6 print. Are you dust on my monitor or are you dust on the image? Nope, you're moving with the image. That's dust. Okay. That's also a fun game to play. I've only done basic edits of the photos. I'm basically just doing digital lighting adjustments, some other things playing around with as well. I mean, that's if you're going to be doing any sort of photography in Photoshop winged, that is honestly some of the best way to learn is just by experimenting, seeing what all the little buttons and levers do, what effects you do. Like, I learned a lot of this in college, but also a good chunk of it I didn't. I was just farting around going, oh, what does that do? What does that do? And, you know, don't be afraid to use the program and really get sort of down and dirty with it. Yeah, actually, tonight I'm using the latest Photoshop update for the first time. I haven't seen really any of the major changes yet for what I'm doing. So, but I'm sure they'll show up. The hover select. I'm sure when I start getting into color work, that'll be a thing. Because that's what I'm doing on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, I will be streaming on Picarto, because I'm going to be making another pieces of grid from my recent shoots. And because that involves nudity, that's why it will be over on Picarto, and I will shoot you the link for that if you are so interested. That'll be this Tuesday night around 8-ish. So that's let me just pop that right in the chat. That's where I stream over on Picarto. So what I will basically be doing is making one of these, but with more images and various bits that will violate Twitch's TOS if I show them here. That's around 8 p.m. Eastern Time, by the way. Tuesday night. Are we good? I think we are. So we have about 10 minutes, so I think I have time to do one more. Before we bring you all over to our next artist. Jay Renzella is a woodcut artist, if you are not familiar with his work. last one. Last one will be another one that has been partially damaged. And so this one doesn't have the entire inscription carved out of it, but this was a child's headstone. This child was the daughter of a couple, and aged 16 days. As my spouse frequently says to me, nothing will make you more of a pro-vaccine nut than going through all of these old cemeteries and just seeing how many babies in Puritan and colonial era didn't make it out of childhood. I think, Tiny Dragon, I think this was a case of weak stone, because you can see the caulking that the church tried to do. So it looks like there was some weathering that was taking place. The church tried to fix it, and it came through anyway. It came off anyway, because this was a sandstone one. And thank you for the bits, printmaker. Yeah, this one does not look like it was defaced. On a lot of these sandstone ones particularly, not as much as the slate ones, you can see evidence that there was a repair attempt made with varying degrees of success. Actually, I don't know if I want to crop that yet, so we'll leave that as is. Varying degrees. Wish that counted on exams. I don't know, Steph. Are your exams made out of porous material that weathers away after 200 years exposed to the elements? If so, you may be onto something. But yeah, nothing will make you more of a pro-vaccine advocate than going through these old cemeteries, these colonial Puritan cemeteries, and just seeing a lot of the headstones of babies and children that got hit with disease and just were taken. Like some of the more, pull at your heartstrings, you'll see like a family who's tried to have like 6-7 kids, and you'll see 6-7 headstones. Like you'll see one kid got sick and spread that sick onto all the other kids, and you'll just see, a series of headstones of like days apart, because that was life. So, whenever I see people screaming about, whenever I see anti-vaxxers and whatnot, that just ruffles my feathers so much. And that is all I will say on the topic for now. Because this is supposed to be good, happy, fun time art, Now I'll move that over. Alright, we have just enough time for me to wrap this one up. Because I've got about 3-4 minutes before we send you all over to Jay Renzella. So let's do a quick recap, as I typically like to do on at the end of my art streams, to show you what we did. And thank you all so much for spending some of your time. I love being on the Artist Back Alley raid trains. Thank you so much, ABA, once again for letting me enjoy and have a blast. You guys do so much great stuff. And I know this is the last raid train of 2021, but ABA, thank you for getting me out of my shell and encouraging me to share my art and my photography on Twitch. So, you know, you got me out of my shell, because I was like, who wants to see someone editing photography and developing film? But apparently a lot of you do. So thank you for giving me that push to share what I love. So, all right, let's get you ready for Jay Renzella. I'll just give you a quick going through of the ones that we did tonight, because I've got 2 minutes. Get that. Get that. Thank you for the biddies, Tiny Dragon. All aboard the raid train. You all know the raid call at this point. All right. Well, I'll leave you with this bouffant. J_Renzella. All right. Again, and as always, stay healthy, stay safe, wear a mask, go get vaccinated, get your flu shot. Thank you, ABA. Good night. Enjoy the rest of the raid train, and joy be with you all, everybody.